working on, they're looking at, well, they're looking on the phony, the little bitty issues that don't mean nothing, right? We have to point out the real mission for them. That's basically why we're here. Everything in him is good. We wish to be gracious to the mustadafin, those people who were mistreated, oppressed, and everything, and make them leaders and heirs, so they will be the warithun. Imam Muhammad said that we're the warithun. Imam Warithuddin Muhammad, the one that inherited. It's good. But there's another one running around. To establish a firm place in the land, to show Pharaoh, boss man, and his whole ministers and hosts, all this stuff, they was taking precautions. Everything the CIA was taking care of, everything Mossad was, okay, now we done already run the white man crazy. Believe it or not, it don't make any difference. I'm just going to tell you the way I feel. We have already ran them crazy. Discombobulation. When did we start that? Years ago. What happened in Afghanistan? Discombobulated behavior. Is there any other word to explain his behavior better than discombobulated? It don't fit nowhere. Right? Okay, everything we've been talking, it's been happening all along. It's like magic. It's kind of, it's like, well, we don't want to scare the white man too much, but we tell him about, put a spell on his behind, he get out of line. Everything come from Allah, but you know, Negroes been back in the jungle, they've been practicing all kind of stuff. You know, it's been working too. Evidently it's working. Evidently it's working when the so-called strongest power in the world will go in a place after the next bad has been there for 10 years or so, and he come there and stay there 20 years and leave with nothing. And when he leave messing up everything, tearing it all up. Won't even give him a bowl of rice to eat, right? And sanction the people he done left it to. He leave them weapons instead of food, right? He leave weapons to kill the neighbors, and ain't none of the neighbors going for that. We ain't going for that. So boss man done blew it. He done blew, look, it can't get any more Cracker Barrel than that. That is unbelievable. 10, 15, 20 years ago, nobody could have come up with that stuff. And his record, you know, so-and-so's 35 and 35 and 0. He did that 35 fights and ain't lost none. Boss man, his latest record, forget Vietnam, forget Korea, he did blow those. But Iraq, all those people he killed, Iraq 1 and 2. Afghanistan, 1. Syria don't know nothing. And that's Syria. And forget about all the other stuff. I just mentioned a few things so we'll understand, get a feeling of how this stuff is. Europe, 1.7 children to keep the birth rate stable, right? Something like that, 1.7 children. White folks in Europe is below that, right? White folks in Germany, you see how they come on in. But who's coming? Arabs. Where they come from? They blew up and destroyed Syria, and they can't walk over Europe, so they go down to Libya. The white man then helped the dumb Libyans destroy Libya, and then the Africans that Gaddafi was helping, to keep in Africa, they can't stay there no more. It ain't no money, ain't no sugar daddy, nothing. So the closest place is Chad and all that is come to Libya. They got to be serious because they're drowning by the thousands in the Mediterranean Sea, washing up on beaches. But where they going? To Europe. EU means caves and hillsides, and rope is the rope to bind. And I'm just making, y'all know who said that, right? Okay, that's all right. That's lost found lesson number 1 and 2. EU caves and hillsides and the rope to bind it. I don't want to tell you the whole story, but you get it. Anyway, think about it though. The people come from Afghanistan, they go to Libya. People come from all that part of the world, they go to Libya. From Libya, they cross in those rickety boats by the thousands. Now they have thousands of prostitutes from African countries having half black babies and half Italian babies. They ain't going to be able to tell the difference because as dark as Italians are. And they're having them today. Right? And in Europe, where the Muslims are going, the German factories and everything, they need workers. They come, you just wave, and we're going to put you in a training program and get you on the Mercedes line. Because it ain't no more. The Turks been in Germany since I was there. I saw the Turks was there in all them numbers in the 60s and the 70s. The Turks and the Germans was allies in World War I. Turkish workers. Germans not reproducing. After World War II, they'd killed most of the Germans. There's a few running around, but most of them, right? So they take us, what do? Teach you the language and have you spit you out a brand new German, shine you up like a brand new Deutschmark. Hey man, you're ready to go. You'll be happy to be there, but then you'll eventually, next generation will study the history of how they got there and who brought them there, and they'll be, let's say, semi-revolutionary. Were they doing that? Everywhere. Can you imagine that 100 years ago it wasn't but 3 blacks in Europe, and now half the country, the mayors in London and everywhere. I mean, and by the numbers, can you imagine if they keep at this rate, white people will be a minority in EU, caves and hillsides, and the rope to bind in. I'm not going to go into it, but that's, in other words, in Europe. Can you see that? Just like they brought us over here to be slaves and do all the work, now they can't. What are they going to do with niggas? What are they going to do today? They can't do anything about the refugees that they have. Nothing. It's too late. They can't send them nowhere. They can't do nothing, and they're happy to have them. Because we're gonna work them to death. Why? Because of greed. We work them for $5 a year. They'll be happy. They was getting $1 back home, right? But their kids will go to school. You hear them. You hear the Muslim kids in America. You don't know whether when I listen to the radio, when I hear Asma Khalid and all them people, I don't know I just know I have to wait to see them. I said, that's actually a Muslim girl. Sometimes they even wear hijab and stuff. And the other ones, Mr. Khan, all them people. And the Chinese, you know who they sound like? I'm not gonna say. You used to could tell black people, white people. You can't tell. You got to listen real close. They might give a couple of hints. They all sound almost European. You can't tell. You can't tell. They got the King's English down. Anyway, let me speed up. So we wish to be gracious to a people who's been battered, beaten, and hey man, it's been bad. give them a different story. It's reported Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, I command upon you 5 things. Allah has ordered me to do so. They are: 1, jama'ah, that is unity of the group; hearing; 2, obeying; 3, that is the amir; hijrah, and jihad. So we'll get into that later. The believers are but a single brotherhood, so make peace and reconciliation between your 2 contending brothers, and fear Allah that you may receive mercy. Just briefly, we used to have to warn people about Saudi Arabia. They bad. Could you turn the heat on just a little bit? Not that my feet is getting just a little chilly. But just think about this now. I'm telling you, it wasn't long ago at all that the people, the Saudis and all of that, we had to tell people, man, the Saudis is the police. They working with the Zionists. Nobody believed us and nobody cared. Now they're just doing it openly, right? Against their Palestinian brothers. And the Palestinian brothers are still there. The only people aligned with them, some of the very good Muslims, a few of the other Arabs, the Negro sister cities down there in Missouri and Palestine, right? Hey, don't worry. Allah be hooking it up. Stuff you can't even think about, Allah hooks it up. Okay. So the believers of a single brotherhood, so make peace and reconciliation between the 2 contending parties. Muslims, a Muslim is a brother of a fellow Muslim. He should neither commit oppression upon him. Look at what the Muslims are doing. Saudi Arabia and these other rich bums are treating, this stuff is unbelievable what they're doing to other Muslims. It's unbelievable. And guess what? We're the only ones talking about it. Do you hear any, is there that much fanfare going around about?
I've seen fundraisers for Yemen, but I don't see any condemnation of Saudi Arabia. I'll put it like that. I've seen Muslims fundraising for Yemen.
Yeah.
I don't see any condemnation. Oh, okay. I have not seen no condemnation of Saudi Arabia. I'm not seeing that.
What is wrong with them? They don't read none of the hadith, nothing in the Quran? Okay. So actually, we have a good, it used to be hard to tell everybody that Saudi Arabia is this, that. Now they're doing everything that we was pointing at. They say, oh, you with those Iranians. And no, it's you guys. You're not Khatam al-Haramain, protector of the holy shrines. Okay. You should neither commit oppression nor hand them over to an oppressor. They handing over Palestine. Yeah, take these guys. Egypt, you can't go over here and do nothing for Gaza. You can't do that. If they got all that border with Egypt are Muslims, it should be an open border, right?
You don't even hear that much about Egypt. That is true. It's more Turkey, you don't even hear about
Well, the biggest country, most powerful country in the Arab world is Egypt. The biggest embassy in the world in the day used to be, it was 3,500 people in Egypt, in Cairo. Next, the biggest Egypt was 4,000 something or other in Iraq. The next biggest will be in Lebanon. The embassy will be as big as Lebanon almost. Have anybody heard? It'll be the next big embassy will be in Lebanon. Don't worry about it. They done lost this one. They drive themselves to destruction. You don't have to worry about boss man. Hey, whatever he come up with is to the believer's benefit. He just can't do anything else because that's the movement he's in. Okay. So whoso fulfills the need of a brother, Allah will fulfill his needs. If we even try to help, if we even think about helping, Allah is on our side. So we're Negroes and the Arabs is Arabs. We all believe we're all brothers. How do these dummies, not dummies, but how do they look?